Should I say there's a possibility I won't be able to see the questions because it says here text is going to be seen by the panelists, so I'm just letting her know.
Okay.
It says your text can only be seen by the panelists. I need your help with questions.
Hi, you guys. It's Jennifer from the Seattle Design Center. I think we're all set to go, Casey.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And we're excited for this presentation. So go for it.
Sounds great. So thanks everybody for joining. We do appreciate it. And first of all, a huge thank you to the Seattle Design Center and especially to Loeffler for inviting us to participate. They have been our partner in the Seattle Design Center for more than 20 years. And given that the company is only about 30 years old, that is a long time to have been partnering with us, and they do a fantastic job. So much appreciation out to them for the invitation. And before we get into everything, my name is Casey Jones, and my wife Jody and I are the brand ambassadors for American Leather. Jody's on the keys off to the side, and my associate Lindsay is also going to be answering questions in real time. So if you guys have chat questions, but feel free to shoot them in there, and they'll do their best to answer them in real time. And we'll stop a couple of spots along the way to answer questions in person if there's something that needs a little bit more articulation. So just a little background. I've been in the industry since 1987. I've been with American Leather since 2004. And the company itself was actually founded back in 1990. And I always think it's a little bit important to give a context for the company that we're talking about before we get into these exciting new introductions. So company was founded in 1990, very different than a lot of companies in the industry. In fact, our founders did not come out of the furniture industry. They were a couple of energetic young engineers who were working for a consulting company. And with freshly minted degrees in manufacturing engineering, they would be sent to a factory who would make tractors or washing machines or toasters or whatever it might be to help them organize their manufacturing to be more efficient. So efficiency was their area of expertise. And they did a short stint with a company in Texas that was making furniture. And for any of you guys that were in the industry back at that point in time, you know that lead times were 12 to 14 weeks is pretty much average. 18 to 20 weeks wasn't uncommon. In fact, the company I worked for, we had a lovely boutique product made in North Carolina, and if we hit 20 weeks, we were pretty happy with it. So that was the way that the industry was. And they did a consulting gig with the company. Unfortunately, the capitalization wasn't there for the company to survive, but it left them with an opportunity and an idea. And in fact, they hired some of the people from this company, bought some used equipment, rented a space, and thought, what if we could revolutionize the furniture industry? What if we could apply the same technology that you use to manufacture in a car and apply it to furniture? We can manufacture an automobile in 6 hours. That sofa doesn't seem all that complicated by comparison. Why should it take 4 months to make a sofa, but we can make you a car in a day? And literally all they did was organize a small manufacturing facility, purchase some leathers, design a handful of products, and knock on the door of furniture stores across Texas and the Southwest saying, would you give me a chance? Would it be important to you if I could give you a high level, great quality piece of furniture in a reasonable amount of time? And that was the foundation upon which the company was built. The consumer shouldn't have to wait. And for 30 years, we did that quite well up until March of this year. And obviously things have changed a little bit since then. But right now, just to give you a lay of the land, we feel like we're faring better than some of our colleagues in the industry and some of our competitors in the industry. We're looking at about a 6-week production cycle right now, rather than our typical 3-week production cycle. But it's way better than 18 to 20 weeks, or certainly even the 12 to 14 weeks that we were when we reopened back in May. So factory was shut down for a while. We're back up and running. We're embracing all of the technology that we have as a company to get back up and get caught up so that you can give your customers exactly what they want when they want it. So how do we do what we do? Starting out, we essentially embrace technology. And for a company that wasn't encumbered by generations of legacy manufacturing techniques and of always having done it that way, and therefore that's the only way you can do it, they simply approached it as an engineer would. We have a product that we want to make. What are the best materials, practices, and processes that we can apply to get that done efficiently, consistently, at an extraordinary level of quality, and to get it to you in a reasonable amount of time. And so at American Leather, we're a founding member of the Sustainable Furniture Council. We employ a lot of green practices, which several years ago were really fun to talk about, but they actually make really good financial sense. And we apply that in our manufacturing. We are as efficient as we can possibly be. We have an engineered hardwood frame. We use CNC technology to cut all of our frames. We use the same kind of technology to cut and nest all of our fabrics and leathers. We actually use a laser guided system to decide where to nest and cut the patterns of each individual hide. So we're not stacking hides and cutting 3 or 5 or 7 or 10 at a time. Each individual hide for every piece of furniture, whether it takes 1 hide or 20, is all done individually. But it's done in an extraordinarily efficient fashion so that we maintain consistency on both sides of the factory, where the frame is being made and assembled, the covers are being made and assembled. When they meet up at the production process, everything fits perfectly every single time. I think it's a beautiful concept to embrace. If you visited the factory, there's some great videos on the website that'll kind of take you through a little 3-minute snapshot of what it looks like to make a piece of furniture. You can eat off the floor in the place. The efficiency there is what enforces the quality across the process. And we're really proud to be part of that, proud to be part of that legacy that Bob Duncan, our founder, created when he started the company. Fast forward about 10 years, and in the late 90s was the first opportunity for American Leather to really set themselves apart as a leader in the industry in terms of innovation in the furniture industry. And they were approached by a really lovely couple named Barbara and Robert Tiffany. They had a really cool idea for a sofa bed that they had tried to entice many of the manufacturers on the East Coast to take a look at. But sofa beds were a tiny little fraction of the market. They showed up at the American Leather showroom. Our founder at the time was just in his early 30s, kind of a happy-go-lucky engineer with a lot of ingenuity and a lot of spark. Said, hey, this is a cool idea. Why don't you guys come to Texas and let's tinker with it. Year 2000, we introduced our very first comfort sleeper. With American Leather, anything that has a brand that says comfort in front of it indicates that it is a patented product. We actually own over 20 different unique patents on mechanisms and components and processes at American Leather. And this really set us at the forefront of the stage in the industry, where other manufacturers look to us as an innovator in the industry. And the comfort sleeper really exempling that technology and thinking outside the box and giving the consumer something they never imagined that it could have or deserved is a wonderful thing. We are now on the 8th generation. As many of you guys know, that is certainly why we are known in the industry, or at least gained a lot of recognition in the industry. And it gave the consumer the first opportunity to invite someone to stay in their home, to visit them, and to stay on their sofa bed without being embarrassed about it. It is a platform bed. It is an actual bed. And along the way, ever since that, we've continued to look at different categories in the industry and try to improve them as best we can. To listen to consumers, to listen to designers, to listen to our retailers who say, hey, it would be really great if we could add this to that category, or if we could do this with the product. So the next generation of that about 10 years ago was our Comfort Recliner, the first recliner in our line to really articulate everything independently. The footrest operates independent of the reclining function. You can stop anywhere along the range of motion, and it offered an infinitely adjustable recliner. And the latest in that iteration and embracement of technology is the product that is actually sitting right behind me here. And it's what we're going to focus a lot of attention on today. It is our newest patented product called Comfort Air. It represents the fastest growing category of product for us. And as consumers are spending more and more time in their homes, we've all spent more time in our own homes over the last several months than we might have over the last several years. We're recognizing the value of having extraordinary comfort inside the product that you have in your home. And this particular item is something that we're extremely proud of. And we'll talk about it. There's several new expansions and introductions, and we'll get to those photos and the pretty pictures and all of that in a little bit. But I want to walk you through what the heck the product is. This is the first commercially viable active seating product available in the marketplace. This particular product is the result of decades of thoughtful design, thoughtful engineering. Back in the 70s, there were a couple of brothers in Virginia named the Erb brothers. They tinkered with furniture. They studied a little bit of furniture design. They went on about other careers, and they ended up coming back to it as they were closing in on their retirement age and started tinkering again. They gained a couple of patents, but they couldn't get any furniture manufacturers to pay attention. So, like the Tiffanys, they'd seen the YouTube video. They phoned up the factory, and they got our CEO on the phone. And they said, we've got this really weird idea. It's this cool, funky chair. It does kind of something, but not, you really need to see it. And they said, well, we're going to be in High Point in a couple of weeks. Why don't you guys drive down from Virginia? If you've got a sample you can bring us, do it. They showed up at the back of the showroom in a box truck with this contraption in the back of it, plywood arms on the outside, an old office chair seat and back glued to this mechanism that had more joints and pivots and buckles and swings than you've ever seen in your entire life. Our CEO, our founder, and our president, Veronica Londono, jump in the back of the box truck, sit down in the thing. Bob almost turns the thing upside down because it completely articulated to literally almost like a Ferris wheel at that time. And he said the same thing. This is really cool. Let's tinker with it. We thought maybe a year down the line, we're going to come up with this really cool new product. Well, 5 years and about $5.5–6 million worth of product development later, we were fully committed. And the last little tidbits required that we actually do something that we do a lot, and that's to reach outside the company. Jeff Weber from Weber Studios assisted us in tweaking those final little challenges with this chair and making it the absolute perfect seating environment for just about anybody who's ever put their backside in it. Those of you may not know, Jeff, Weber Studios, Jeff was the architect of the Aran chair for Herman Miller, the most iconic and ergonomic office seating product in the last century. And he helped us sort of solve these little equations. And at the end of the day, if we were to take the mechanism apart, it's perhaps one of the simplest operations of anything that we have. It's just the variations and the relationship between the lengths of the arms and the squares of the pivots to get this thing to move. So what does it do? It's a living, breathing chair, if you will. It is the first product that actually allows it to move in the motion of your body. So if we are to recline the chair, just like a regular recliner, it will do that. It uses your body's center of gravity. So you can see that it requires almost no effort for me to just drift over to the back. But the seat and the back articulate independently, and they don't move in the way of a typical recliner. You're not going to tip over. It allows it to swivel. It swings. It sort of rocks. The seat deck, if you can see here, actually tilts forward and tilts backward. A traditional recliner is a clamshell. It only articulates open and close in this one direction. The pivot is right down here at the heel of the seat. In this case, not only does the seat deck articulate and swivel up and down, but the back actually moves up and back. So instead, the pivot in this particular chair is way up here in the shoulders so that it allows it to swing back and forth. Imagine the best thing from a porch swing, the best thing from a glider, the best things from a recliner, and the best things from a rocking chair. And let's just throw a swivel in there for good measure. It allows all of those things to let your body move through a natural motion. In a regular recliner, the one thing that people always ask for is lumbar support. When you recline this particular product, you'll notice that the back of the chair, as I go back, as I push further back, the back of the chair itself lifts up behind my hips and provides perfect support. There's really nothing like it. Loeffler has them on the floor, and it's an experience. When I talk about this chair, when I'm talking to consumers, and I've talked to a number of them, especially during the launch of this product, we did several sort of seminars where we invited people in. We wanted to gather their feedback from the tiniest little old lady who can sit in the smaller size chair and find it easy to operate and move back and forth and feel like it's just this flowing motion. There's no effort required to push back on the arms of the chair, to the person who's 6'3", who sits in the largest size chair and sits down and finds it to be just extraordinarily comfortable. Of course, you can see that there is an ottoman that's an optional feature to go with this. Unlike most other reclining product, the ottoman is not an absolute necessity with it. It is, however, an optional feature, and it's something that I like to have just because it gives me something to push my foot on. So that's a little bit about ComfortAir. Spent a lot of time on it, and we focused a lot of attention in our new introductions on extending existing categories. Because we didn't go to market in April and we didn't go in October, it's much easier for us to extend a category, especially one that's so important, like our comfort sleepers and our comfort recliners and our reinvented recliners and our ComfortAir product. Motion product is the core of our business, if you will. Roughly 80% of what we sell actually moves in some way, shape, or form. So focusing on those categories that share a single chassis makes it much easier for us to explain what they're like. You can walk into a showroom and you can sit down on a comfort recliner or a ComfortAir chair and purchase whichever style suits your particular aesthetic and recognize that they're all going to feel almost exactly the same because you're sharing the same architecture. So let's get a little bit into the new introductions. And if Lindsay could pop up a couple of slides here, we're going to start with that. Just to review, we did talk about the ComfortAir, the only living chair. In fact, we're thrilled to have coined that name for it because we really do believe it is a living chair. Little slide here. What is it? A futuristic seating experience that provides a floating sensation through a continuous personalized movement. And it means that everyone's experience is going to be different on this piece of furniture. So on to the new introductions. So across this program, we've got 11 styles and 3 sizes. We actually have 5 new styles that were introduced in April. We have sizes from our standard to our large to our extra large. The chair that's behind me is an extra large. I'm 5'8.5". I happen to like a slightly larger chair, and it's spectacular. The large fits me quite nicely, and even the standard is a comfortable seat for me as well. Although it would be something I'd like more just as a chair to swivel around next to the sofa. This particular product will comfortably, and we have put people comfortably in the chair from under 5 feet tall to up to 6'5". In fact, our product designer is 6'5". He owns an extra large size of this chair, and you'll see that extra height being a common theme as we go through these new introductions. So on to the next slide, Lindsay. So you're looking at the entire program here. The 4 on the top and the 4 on the bottom are the basic standard ComfortAir program. They all are offered in 3 different sizes. You can see that there's lots and lots of unique shapes. There's even a couple that have a slightly rolled arm that might be arguably considered to be called traditional. But most of them are going to be a little bit more modern or even a little bit more quiet. The items in the center, we'll talk about those in a minute. Those are the latest extension of this category. And if we look down on the bottom, the last 2 on the bottom right are the 2 new introductions into the regular ComfortAir program, and those are from April as well. So Lindsay, if we can go to the next slide. Huron. Huron, very similar to what I've got behind me. This is the Pileus, but without the sort of wing-shaped arms on it. Huron is going to have a nice little asymmetrical quilting on the back and the seat. You'll notice that the quilting boxes are not exactly the same size for the back and the seat. Soft, comfortable arm. There's plenty of padding on the top of it. All of these articulate the same way. But just a really nice, almost like a vintage car seat inspiration on this guy here. Gorgeous in any color. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. These are also available as everything in the American Leather line is available in any fabric or leather that we have, or any COM that you might want to send to us. So on to the next slide, we'll look at one that's near and dear to our hearts up here in the Northwest, the RAINIER. Shown in a new Mont Blanc Baltic leather. This is a Moore & Giles leather that we have worked with extensively over the years. It's one of our most popular leathers. We offer over 30 colors in the line in this particular cover. This is the newest color and newest edition, certainly in keeping with the color trends in the marketplace right now, this gorgeous Baltic leather. Rainier, again, a little bit of an asymmetry in where the pleat is in the back and the pleat is on the arm. Both of these new chairs and the majority of the chairs in the Comfort Air program, with the exception of the Stratus and the Cloud, offer a down topper over an injection molded seat. So the seat is actually shaped. There is a layer of soft material over that, and then we put the down topper over that. Those down toppers and those down casings are actually zippered. In fact, the back whole panel of the chair can come off, so they can be fluffed, they can be serviced for the life of the chair. Looking at the base on this, you're going to see the star base on this one. Gorgeous, gorgeous looking piece of furniture. Really excited about it. The larger you get in this piece of furniture, I think the more credit you get for sort of the robustness of that style. You see a little bit more stretching out with the pleat in the center, and you get the nice little stitch detail on the side. Go on to the next slide. Como, Ontario, and Lanier. These are opportunities for us to take this product into a different space in the home. If you look at them, they look just like a nice, big, comfortable swivel club chair. You'll notice that the arms are dropped closer to the floor than they are on the ones that you saw previously, or the one that I have here. We've dropped it down as low as we can. We've shaped the chairs a little bit more generously. The seats are wider, so they offer the same 3 sizes of chair with the same seat depths in those 3 sizes, but you have an extra 2 inches of width in the seat of the chair. So it's just a more generous feel. The Ontario, for instance, we're showing it here in the reed velvet, which is just an absolutely gorgeous cover on it. It's super soft. It's 100% cotton velvet. We apply that with a down. It's just a place where you never really want to move. These are all shown with the disc base. There are several base options, but I want to point out that the disc base on this larger chair tends to be the one to which customers are going to gravitate. It gives that nice sort of solid and planted feel in the room. Como, you've got a nice little tufted detail. It's very sophisticated, sort of a nautical kind of almost a marine interior feel. Ontario, a little bit more elegant, a little sexier, a little swoopier. The inspiration here were actually luxury automobiles of the 30s with the big fenders and the swoopy shapes and those things that were just sort of graceful and elegant. And Lanier takes into account the channel back from our Cirrus chair, which is part of the regular Comfort Air program, which is the most popular chair in the line. You channel the down in the back, you channel it in the seats, it stays nice and in place, very similar to what you would do when you quilt this, or it stays in place. Just a really comfortable feeling. And the one other feature that is truly disguised on all of these is the fact that you have an articulating headrest. So you can actually recline the chair into its full recline position, articulate this headrest forward, put it at any position that you want to provide support behind your head if you're going to watch TV or have a conversation with someone across the room. And on to the next slide, we'll get to the final details of this particular program and all these new introductions. You have a disc base available, and it's coming in natural walnut or in the brushed metal finish. You also have the 4-star base in a burnished bronze, a polished nickel, or an antique brass. We've also added a natural walnut 4-star base. It is absolutely stunning. It is a walnut overlay over a steel base. So you have that same stability, that same planted feeling on the floor, but you have that more delicate look of those walnut overlays on the top. I do want to stop and talk for a minute about warranty on American leather product. We offer a lifetime warranty on frame and suspension on all of our product, and all of our patented comfort mechanisms offer a 10-year warranty on the mechanism. So the warranty on this chair is for 10 years. All of our mechanisms are run through a 25,000 cycle test to make sure that they will stand that test of time. This piece of furniture gets more use than any piece in my own home, and it looks and feels exactly the way it did when I first had it delivered. So go on to the next slide. We're going to talk about the next level of introductions, or actually let's stop for questions. I missed that slide. Jody or Lindsay, any questions that I can't see the questions on the screen where I'm looking at it right now. So you guys can chime in and answer or ask.
There haven't been any questions so far, so now is a great time for anyone who has one to ask. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Could you demonstrate the articulating headrest one more time, just while sitting in the chair?
I forgot that I get really small when you're sharing your screen. So the articulating headrest is here on the back. It's a friction-driven mechanism, exactly the same one that we use in our other reclining product. And it allows you to stop that headrest and give yourself comfort. So if I was in that fully reclined nap time position, I can articulate the headrest forward. I don't have to use any, crane my neck, and I can look across the room and I can see Jody sitting at the dining room table across the way, and not put forth any effort to like hold my neck up. It will stay in place until I put it back where it belongs. Any other questions so far? No?
No.
I can go on forever. Like the Energizer Bunny. So Lindsay, do you want to pop the slideshow back up and we'll go on to the next new introductions? Awesome. So next new introduction is to our reinvented recliner collection. This is our most popular traditional reclining program. Part of the reason, and I think you'll see by just looking at the two new introductions here, are that they don't look like recliners. They sit way high off the floor. They use a mechanism that was originally designed for an office chair that literally curls and furls all of the extra parts up underneath the seat deck. They're completely invisible if you were to look at the chair from across the room. And it allows the customer to have some added function in a chair when they don't want a traditional recliner. The whole purpose of this program was out of listening to people saying, well, I want a recliner, but I don't want it to look like a recliner. And I never have a recliner in my home. This is the chair for the customer who would never have a recliner. This whole program offers a number of different chairs. They are reasonably priced product. We have added a power option to this entire program now. So the retail price is $300 to upgrade the basic chair to power. So it's a really reasonably priced upgrade to add that. And starting with the Elton. Elton is my favorite, I think, of the new introductions in this program, although the Roman is a pretty sexy piece of furniture. Those sled-shaped arms of the Elton, they're broad enough, and the pitch of the arm and the graceful curve of that arm is very nice underneath your elbows. A lot of people would be concerned about buying a recliner that had wood-topped arms on it. This is not something that I would have as a concern with this, just because it fits in a very natural position. You can push the thing back. You can either push the button or you can push on the arms to go back to a traditional two-position recliner position. It is a dark brown ash wood. It's unique in the line in that it's the only particular product in the line that offers that dark brown ash finish. And we'll have samples going out to our showrooms very shortly. Channeled back, down top over the seat. Just a really graceful piece of furniture. I just saw one for the first time in person a couple of weeks ago. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's gorgeous in fabric, it's gorgeous in leather. It really doesn't matter how you dress it. Just a nice, obviously a Scandinavian influence, but a really nice, elegant piece of furniture. Roman over there on the other side is a little bit more sophisticated. Roman has a tendency to stand up a little bit. You're looking at it in the extra tall version. So you can see the height of that back with the nice little quilting. You sort of get credit for that little rising top of the back. Looks very stately. Has a nice little pretty soft curved arm on it. Sits on the star base that you see underneath there. That base is available in those same finishes. So it's available in the burnished bronze, the polished nickel, and the antique brass finish as well. There is no walnut finish on these just as of yet, but otherwise the same finishes are available on this. But love the look of that. And all of these have a power option now, and you have what we call an XT, which is the extra tall version. So it takes the standard reinvented recliner and adds an extra 3 inches of height. For that customer who's above 6'1" or 6'2", this gives them a little bit more headroom and a little bit more support when they push that chair back and fully recline it. Let's go on to the next slide. Comfort recliner. We talked about this a little bit before, sort of the second iteration of our embracement of proprietary design. And in this case, we have 2 new additions to this incredible program, the Clark and the Gordon. Clark on the left-hand side, nice quilted back. Obviously, you can see that we're a little in love with quilting right now. So a lot of new additions that offer that quilted feature. Super comfortable. This particular product is the one that allows the seat and the back to articulate independently. So you could be fully upright and have the footrest fully extended or dropped anywhere along its range of motion, or you could have the footrest completely closed and completely recline the chair or stop anywhere along that position as well. These are available with manual or power. I would always recommend power in any of these. It just seems to give the customer the option of having that. It's just a nice feature to have it as power. You don't have to do anything except push a button. All of our power buttons, by the way, do come with a USB port inside them to allow you to charge your tablet or your phone while you're sitting in your recliner. Another feature of these 2 recliners is that the Comfort recliner, the linkages that you see when the footrest is extended actually have a stainless steel sheath that goes over them. So you don't see anything other than a pretty stainless steel stretcher that comes out. There are no black scissor linkages that are visible underneath here. Just gives a nice feature. We've also added the star base option to this program. These are available in all the bases from the Comfort Air, so including the walnut star base on this program. And then Gordon, a little bit more of a traditional design. Get that nice little saddle over the arm, very, very comfortable, a lot of cushioning in there. Certainly a chair for somebody that wants to spend a lot of time in it. Again, these are going to be a little bit more visually powerful, a little bit more robust than the Comfort Air and the reinvented recliners, but they're aimed at that traditional recliner customer. I happen to own a product from this category as well. I've got my Comfort Air here, and the Comfort recliner would be on the larger side of that. They're equally wonderful, and they do different things for different people. They happen to be in different places in my house, and I think the customer could certainly do with having both of them in their home. On to, before we go any farther, addition to this program, I do not want to forget the extra height. I don't know if I mentioned that in this one or not. 2 inches of extra height to get to the size 7 XT. These come in a size 5, a size 7, and a size 7 extra tall now. Size 5 is comfortable for someone who is generally above 5'4", and the size 7 and the 7 XT will take somebody all the way up to about 6'3", 6'4".
Casey, we have just a few questions.
Yeah.
So the first one is, why is the gray ash disc base not available for the Comfort Air chairs?
We are phasing out the gray ash disc base in general, and that's why it's not available on the Comfort Air chairs. And for us, it's just, if you look at the number, if we were to go back to the slide with all of the base options, those are all things that we have to hold inventory on. And right now, especially as we are working our way through the pandemic, our suppliers have also been impacted, and the fewer components that we can have and the more universal application of those components like the bases, the better off we are. It means that we can more likely have inventory and not be at the mercy of a supplier who's not able to get me the base that the customer wants for the product.
Second question, do you foresee any of the reinvented recliners with swivel bases becoming available with the disc bases?
You know, the disc base for the Comfort recliner and for the Comfort Air, it's a pretty large disc base. The reinvented recliners have a smaller footprint, and that's why we don't have the walnut finish on the reinvented recliners either. They do have a 4-star base, but it's smaller. So the only issue with the reinvented recliner would be having a disc base that was large enough to keep it from feeling tippy. But I will definitely pass that along to Spencer because he loves to hear feedback. And if we can add that as an option, and if it's something that the customer would find to be appealing, I'd be more than happy to run that up the flagpole. So Jody, if you'll make a note, we will send that on to Spencer. And wonderful thing about American leather, They want to hear your feedback, and all of the things that you're looking at are heavily influenced by feedback that we've been able to provide for them over the last couple of years. Next question.
That is it for questions.
Awesome. Let's scoot on to the next slide. And coming soon. So we just got a sneak peek of this about a week ago. We'll have more information coming out quite shortly. We have 3 different motion sofa and sectional collections. One called G series that incorporates a German mechanism. One called I series that incorporates an Italian mechanism. And then we have what we call A series, which incorporates an American mechanism, one that's made in North Carolina. And we've now been able to incorporate our motion furniture into a product that offers the comfort sleeper. So if you were inclined to roll out of bed directly into your reclining sofa, you now have that option. Super excited about this. From an engineering perspective, it may not look all that complicated just to see a beautiful photo like this, but there's so much that goes into that. The chassis that holds the reclining furniture is of a completely different size and shape and scale than the one that holds the comfort sleeper. And we have to figure out how to fit those 2 pieces together. So you will now have the option of having this wonderful sectional in your family room where you can sit in your reclining furniture and you can watch TV, but you can also have this hidden feature of our patented comfort sleeper on the other side. When you sit on the pieces of furniture, you'll not be able to tell any difference between the sofa side with the recliners and the sleeper side. We've already played with this feature and played musical chairs with people to try and get them to tell us which one is which. Really important to us that our product not broadcast its intent, especially with the comfort sleeper. Many of our customers now have comfort sleepers in their main and primary spaces. Their guests are not going to know it. We have one in our home, and Jody and I are always intrigued by people being completely surprised that there happens to be a sleeper in there. And we have a stationary piece of furniture of the same style next to it. And our guests never have any idea that either one of them has that hidden function. So super excited about this. We will have 3 styles that incorporate the sleeper into it. It also has a taller back. So if you do have a customer who's looking for a sleeper and they want a taller back than we even have on our regular sleepers, which are still pretty tall themselves, and back options. So you have a channel back here, you'll have a quilted back option, and you also have a saddle back option available on these. But you'll be able to incorporate a power recliner with a smooth, fastest mechanism that we have. In fact, it is so quick and so smooth, articulating headrest that is also power. Incorporate that with the sleeper. Super, super excited about this. And we don't have images yet because it's kind of difficult to show, but stay tuned and check in with the team at Loeffler. We have a couple of really spectacular new leathers and a couple of spectacular new fabrics coming in. We have this beautiful leather in particular called Cotswold that is a nubuck that is delicious. It's gorgeous. It's deep color, wonderful saturation, that sort of dusty hand that you get with a nubuck. Obviously, something that, when you spill something on it, you're going to have to get after it pretty quickly, or it's going to be there to add character to your piece forever. But there still is nothing like the feel of something like that. So we're super excited about that. We've been working with Moore and Giles to introduce that product, and very, very happy about it. So any other questions before I wander off into the sunset? No? Anyone? Bueller?
No questions.
No questions? Well, I have no idea what time it is. I didn't put a timer up here. That's one thing I'm horrible about remembering to do when I'm doing a presentation, and I'm quickly reminded sometimes with people that but the store is going to open, or it's been open for 10 minutes. You need to stop talking. So I'll give a couple of minutes. If there are any questions, feel free to type them in or pipe in, and I'll be happy to answer them. Great appreciation to everybody who joined us today. Hopefully I made good use of your time, and you learned something, and that we made it worthwhile for you to invest a few minutes to visit with us.
You're just getting kudos. Good job, Casey.
I'll just sit in my comfort air chair and relax because this is stressful.
I should have brought mine into the office.
You should have. I think that everyone should own a comfort air chair. If you're watching, you should own a comfort air chair. Well, everybody, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. It's been my pleasure to be here. And again, huge thanks to Loeffler for inviting us and giving us the opportunity. Nothing I like better than to get to share something I love. And I'm privileged to be part of this company and hope to be part of it for many, many years to come. So thank you all.